very good evening. We are in for a very interesting presentation tonight. I'm Dr. Chong from the Astronomical Society of Penang. So tonight we are going to talk about our experience. It's not our knowledge, our experience in amateur telescope making. So we have been doing amateur telescope making in Penang since 1987. So we have 35 years of experience. Okay, so we go to my presentation now. Can see the PowerPoint, huh?
Can.
Okay, so now we start. So it's on our virtual cafe for tonight, 12th of February. We're in for a treat on ATM. Right? So ATM is not a machine in your bank, you know. So here we see I and my two members, our Muhammad Daim on the left and Muhammad Ashraf, who we call Achak on the right. We just assembled our 6-inch aperture F8 Dobson telescope fast tube. So in here, today's presentation, we share with you a lot of our sharing on how to make your own telescope. Okay, so now it's called ATMing from a personal perspective. All right, ATM doesn't mean this machine. ATM means amateur telescope making. So we have been doing this in Penang for 35 years, since 1987. So it's actually making mainly Dobsonian telescope. So in this presentation, the first part I'll be giving on our experience in our ATM events in Penang, and the second half of the telescope, all the full details of making of Dobsonian telescope. So now these are the base part. So talking about the Dobsonian telescope, and we'll give you an example of many of the ATM workshops we have done in Penang. All right, we have done, for example, in schools, in public places, and in Penang Science Cluster, which I'm going to show you now. So it's on an ATM workshop, and then making of primary and secondary mirrors of our Dobsonian telescope, which is a Newtonian telescope, and for making of the tube and mount of the telescope, and finally, first light experience. For those who are not in astronomy, first light means once you make your telescope, the first time at night you take up to look at the Saturn, the moon. It's called the first light experience. All right. So and then also we add on we have made also a 3 solar telescope. All right, real image solar telescope, and maybe another presentation. Michael, allow me. We talk about number 7, ATMing by using grinding machine. And 8, making other types of telescope it can be made, and more details on the ATM scene in Malaysia. And finally, the 10, the largest ATM workshop we want to do in Malaysia, hopefully in Penang. Okay, so talk about the Dobsonian telescope. So before we start with the detail, I always tell our Penang astronomy enthusiasts, the best way to enjoy astronomy is to buy some and also to make some. What do you mean buy? Buy some telescope, ready-made telescope from the factory or from the company. And also at the same time, you make your own homemade telescope. So in this way, you can see the universe with factory-made telescope and your homemade telescope. So if you look at the universe with your homemade telescope, the feeling is very different, very nice also. Okay. So now this is our homemade Dobsonian telescope. So I give you more details later. So basically, if you can see my cursor, so this is our Dobsonian telescope. All right. I'll give you more details later. And this is the vacuum coating unit where you can coat the primary and secondary mirror. So basically, the whole telescope is homemade, but that means the primary mirror at the bottom is homemade, the secondary mirror is homemade. The only one you have to buy is the eyepiece. Okay, so this is a homemade primary mirror. So I'm holding on the left side here is a 7-inch diameter, what we call f6.8 primary mirror, but it's a bit dirty. So I have to remove the aluminium and recoat the mirror. And on the right side is a optical plate, which I use to make for the solar telescope. And the optical plate is 7-inch aperture, but the surface is a flat. All right. Whereas on the left side, the primary mirror, the surface is a parabola. All right. So homemade primary mirrors. That's what we make in this ATM workshop. So it's on the left, we have a 7-inch f6.8 primary mirror. On the right, we have our 7-inch optical plate. All right. So the one on the left will be used to make the Dobsonian telescope I showed earlier, and on the right will make a solar telescope. I'll give you more details at the end. So mirrors are coated with aluminium. With that machine I show you behind me, it's a vacuum coating unit where after you make the primary mirror, second mirror, you put inside this coating unit which has 2 vacuum pumps, rotary pump and diffusion pump, and you pump out the air and you hang the mirror on top, and below the mirror is a tungsten wire which will be heated very hot, will melt the aluminium wire, and the aluminum wire will be vaporized in the vacuum and will coat this mirror with a very beautiful thin layer of aluminum. All right. So this is the vacuum coating unit we are going to use, and I coated many of our telescope. So the diameter of the bell jar of the coating unit is 10 inch, which means that the maximum diameter I can coat with this coating unit is 9 inch. So if you need to coat bigger mirrors, you need a bigger coating unit. Okay, so it's a homemade Dobson telescope. Everything is homemade except for the eyepiece you have to buy. Okay, so this is on the right, of course, it's a primary mirror, parabola, and on the left is a second mirror, a flat. So that's what we are going to make in this workshop. Okay, so the primary surface, mirror surface is a parabola, second mirror surface is a flat. So it takes a longer time to make a primary mirror and a second mirror, and it's a lot of fun. So over the years, there are many people that come to Penang, USM, to make with me a Dobsonian telescope. So this is a 7-inch f6.8 Dobsonian telescope. Why f6.8? Because 7 times 6.8 is 48 inches, 4 feet. Because we are going to buy the plywood from Penang, from Jelutong, and the plywood comes with the size of 4 feet by 8 feet, so 48 inches. That's why we make it 6.8 to make when you cut it, the width of the plywood is 4 feet, 48 inches. That's why it's 6.8. Okay, so very cost effective. So for many years, I don't know the cost of plywood now. Recently, I didn't check with the hardware shop, but many years ago we did in Penang. So the whole telescope we had for 100 ringgit only. Can you believe it? And very nice. If you make the primary mirror well, and you make the second mirror well, okay, it's only for 100 ringgit, right? So for 100 ringgit, what can you see? What objects can we see using this homemade Dobson telescope? We can see sunspot. Of course, sunspot means we put a solar filter in front of the top of the telescope. You can see the moon features, the craters, and so on. The planet, the rings of Saturn, the bands of Jupiter, all right? And then the features on Mars and so on. You can see comets, asteroids, deep sky objects. You can see nature objects. And more, you can do astrophotography, right? So this one, the telescope, you cannot track. So bright objects, you can do astrophotography. That is the sun, moon, planets, and even some of the bright nebula. Okay, so very rewarding using this telescope. And whenever we take a telescope, so this actually belongs to one of our members, Kenny Low, right? When he was in high school, he joined me in USM. So with this type of homemade telescope, it's very enjoyable. So we have some of our events many years ago in USM in Penang. Part of the telescope used were factory made, and some of them were homemade telescope like this one. Okay, so basically, ATM all began with one man, Mr. John Dobson from America. He passed away some years ago. I think he passed away more than 90 years old. Very famous guy, you know? So he was one single-handedly. He started the ATM revolution. All right. So Dobsonian design in 1965. All right. So he is now showing this lady with a solar filter here of Dobson telescope to look at the sunspot. All right. So here you see him blending the primary mirror outside. All right. And he's holding a 16-inch aperture primary mirror. So he single-handedly started the Dobsonian revolution in 1965. So since then, this ATM has exploded all over the world. So many of the amateur astronomy clubs around the world, they not only have their stargazing, their meteor shower observation, astrophotography, they also have their ATM section where they make their own telescope. And so in Penang, we also have this activity called ATMing. Okay, so it's called the Dobsonian revolution. So now we can say that thousands on thousands of amateur astronomers around the world have grind their mirror, made their own telescope, following the Dobsonian design. Why is the Dobsonian design? He's so famous that they don't call him John Dobson, they call him Dobsonian. He's become an additive telescope, right? So this is a case of not the one we make, but many people make this circular tube, all right? So the one on slanting is the tube, and the one standing here is the mount. So you need to make the tube and the mount, and of course, before that, you would have made your primary mirror and your second mirror, okay? So factory made, this is also factory made Dobson telescope by me, light sky bridge, light bridge, and this is a thrust tube open design. So the advantage of this type of Dobson telescope is this aluminum tube, but always painted black, is aluminum tube inside. You remove the tube, it's very portable. This whole second mirror holder and a primary holder and the thrust tube all removed, and the mount you can put inside a car, a small car, very portable, right? So the other names for a Dobsonian telescope is a Dobsonian. Adopt means a Dobsonian telescope, right? So the full name for a Dobsonian telescope is, it's quite a mouthful, a Dobsonian Newtonian telescope with alpha azimuth mount. So basically, it's a Dobsonian design, so it's called Dobsonian, and it's also a Newtonian telescope design invented by Isaac Newton many years ago. And the mount is called alpha azimuth, very easy to make. The other type of mount commonly we see are the German equatorial mount, but this is a alpha azimuth mount. Okay, so this is a Dobsonian telescope, Newtonian telescope with alpha azimuth mount. That's what we make. So it's a Dobsonian Newtonian telescope, alpha azimuth mount, and this is a replica of one of the earliest Newtonian telescope invented by Newton in one of the museums in England. It's a small telescope, but the principle is that. So Isaac Newton invented the Newtonian telescope. All right. So this is the Newtonian telescope. So imagine you have a tube. The light from the star coming from the left towards the right will hit the primary mirror here on the right, and the primary mirror we are going to make. And the primary mirror has a concave surface, a parabolic surface coated with aluminium, and you focus the light to the left into a flat secondary mirror, and it will deflect the light upwards, and on top you put your eyepiece, and on top of the eyepiece you put your eye or your camera. So that's what we are going to make. The whole telescope is the tube, the primary mirror, second mirror, and the mount. All right. So this is a Newtonian design. So Dobsonian telescope is a Newtonian telescope. So what is the meaning of Dobsonian then? I'll give you the information later. Right. So this is Newtonian telescope again on the left. The light comes in, falls onto your primary mirror, which has the focal length similar to the length of this tube, focus onto a flat mirror and deflected towards upwards. And you put the eyepiece on your eye. Okay. So the primary surface is a parabola. The second mirror surface is a flat. All right. That's what I mean. Of course, this one first idea was invented by Newton. All right. So Isaac Newton, he invented the Newtonian telescope to solve a problem of the reflector. Right. So the Newtonian telescope was invented to solve the problem of the reflector. All right. So this is a Dobsonian Newtonian telescope. That's what I mean. So we explained what's a Newtonian telescope. As we explained later, what's a Dobsonian telescope? What's the meaning of Dobsonian? Okay. So after a bit mount. So since 1987, we have made in Penang in USM, and now also under originally under the USM Astronomical Club, now under the Astronomical Society of Penang, 50 Dobsonian since 1987, and namely are 7-inch aperture, f6.8 closed square tube. Remember just now you saw me on a telescope, it's not a touch tube open design, it's a closed tube design, and it's a square tube, right? And why at 6.8? Because we have to make the focal length to 40. And we have also made one Dobsonian 9-inch aperture, f5.5 open touch tube. We have made that also. And also we have made 3 solar telescopes, 7-inch aperture, 40 feet focal length, 7-inch real image of sun and sunspot. So you can project the sun, the disk of the sun, 7-inch in diameter, onto a screen in a dark room. You can see clearly the sunspot and the sunspot group. All right. So very nice. So this now another type of Dobsonian design here is this one. All right. The one you saw earlier was my design was a closed square tube. This is actually a truss tube where you have this aluminum tube and open design, meaning all this can be dismantled and put inside your car. Some of the Dobsonian telescopes are so small that you can even put inside the aeroplane luggage compartment. So this is a truss tube. All right. Homemade. This is homemade. Very easily dismantled. Very easily assembled. Very portable. That's why the Dobson telescope is so good. Easily dismantleable and portable. Right? So remember, the important thing is that in the Dobson telescope, you see the bearing here. This bearing here will make the telescope move up and down and rubbing on Teflon pad, the altitude coordinate. And the azimuth coordinate is the base of the rocker box, rubbing also on Teflon. So that's why the Dobsonian telescope is. So basically, the Dobsonian revolution is that they put here Teflon pad on this what they call altitude degree of freedom, and the azimuth degree of freedom also Teflon. So a Teflon rubbing on plastic, very smooth. No need to have gear. The normal telescope, when you move in the equation mount, right ascension, there's a gear. It costs, you don't make the gear, costs a lot. And the declination also gear. But in the Dobsonian design, they're sliding only. Sliding up and down. And they are this rotating in a circle. So that's why no gear. That's why it's very cheap. All right. So the secret of the Dobsonian design here, you have the bearing here. Here you have the Teflon pad here. And you're rubbing. And remember, you have a plastic tube, PVC pipe, rubbing on Teflon, and I will explain it. Teflon has a very fantastic property that smooth frictional properties. This tube will move easily up and down smoothly, and it will rotate the mount also. Is rubbing on 3 Teflon pads, so smooth. So that's the beauty of the Dobson design because of using the Teflon pad. Altitude azimuth can move very smooth and cheap. That's it. So use of Teflon. Now we talk a bit about Teflon later. So here's another homemade telescope. So this bearing. So you look at this. This telescope basically many parts are all salvaged, second hand. So for example, in Penang, we used to go to Penang is what kedai botol, all the second-hand parts. So we find the second-hand parts we can do. So some of them, this is a plastic container, circular one. So rubbing on the Teflon pad. So this tube can move up and down in altitude. And below there, the base also got 3 Teflon pad to rotate, rubbing, and with the Dobsonic effect. That's why it's so cheap and easy to make. So a bit of the points of Teflon. Don't be frightened by the long chemical name. Polytetrafluoroethylene, right? Why? So basically, this is the backbone. The backbone, you have 2 carbon atoms connected by a covalent bond, and to each carbon atom, there are 2 fluorine atoms, and this is a 1 monomer. So on the left, you have another Teflon molecule on the left. So it's an infinite length. So it's a chain. So Teflon is a chain of this long molecule, and the beauty of the Teflon is, so basically, you in Penang, some of the hardware shop, you can buy a sheet of Teflon. It looks like an A4 paper. It's about 1 8-inch thick, and you can cut small pads of it to make the Dobsonian telescope. So this is Teflon, the formula there, and it's a very, because of the fact that it has this fluorine here, which makes this chemical Teflon sheet very, very inert. All right, so it's not at all. Although you see Teflon by itself, a free gas, is very dangerous, even more dangerous than chlorine gas. But because it's connected to carbon here, it's a very safe material to hold, very safe. All right. So Teflon you can make into various sizes, including rods. All right, including like this. The advantage of Teflon, you can make various sizes, but we are here using Teflon sheet. All right. So advantage of Teflon is low friction, waterproof, non-stick surface, non-wetting. Okay. So for example, you take your Teflon wok, your this what they call frying pan. You buy a new one. You put oil on it, you can easily wash off. It doesn't stick to it. So it's a non-stick Teflon, a non-stick pan because of Teflon, and your Teflon tape that you can repair your plumbing, your pipe burst in the house, you can do it because it has this non-stick property. And non-wetting. If you imagine this Teflon wok for your pan to cook the food, you put water on it, it will not stick. Right? That's the beauty. So the beautiful part is the frictional properties of Teflon. So this is a bit of physics. So here, Fs is the force of static friction. Right? For example, you have a book sitting on a surface. Before the book moves, it's called static friction. And when it moves, it's called kinetic friction. So mu S is the coefficient of static friction. N is a normal force. It looks like this. All right. So friction means mu S coefficient of static friction before the book moves. And when the book is moving, the force you need to apply becomes less. So you have coefficient of kinetic friction. Okay. So usually the coefficient of static friction is more than the coefficient of static friction. But for Teflon, mu S equal to mistake here, mu K, should be mu K. For Teflon, coefficient of static friction is equal exactly to the coefficient of kinetic friction. Okay. So because of this, we get smooth frictional properties. So meaning this Dobson telescope or Teflon pad. So for example, if you put your hand on top of the tube, you push it, the slightest force you touch it, the tube will move down. And because the tube is well balanced on top or below, so when the tube is moving, pointing to it downward, when you remove the force, the moment you remove your finger, it will stay there at that position that you stop moving it. And also when you rotate it, smooth frictional force. That's why this called the Dobsonian revolution. So basically, Dobson telescope, the secret is what? Just a Teflon. The Teflon pad, right? And you can buy Teflon in, I would say, many hardware shops in Malaysia. Okay, so Teflon for changing the azimuth and Teflon for changing the altitude. So you cut the Teflon into small sheets. Usually I cut it about 1 inch by 1 inch, 1 8-inch thick. These are Teflon pad. And for example, at the base of the mount, you have 3 Teflon pad, right? And also at the altitude, also you have 3 Teflon pad. So here, for this part here, you have 3 Teflon pad to make the tube moving up and down. And below here also got 3 Teflon pads. So that's beautiful part and doesn't cost much. A sheet of Teflon doesn't cost much, right? And remember, in a sheet of Teflon, you can cut many Teflon pads up and so from one sheet of A4 size of Teflon, you can make many Dobsonian, all right? So you can move at the lightest touch with your hand, okay? And the motion is very smooth. So nice. Whereas, take for example, you have a room, whatever room, there's a hinge on the door. So usually when you move the hinge on the door, what you hear the sound is the old hinge out. See, so it's creaking sound. So another that one is the coefficient of static friction is much greater than the coefficient of kinetic friction. That's why there's a lot of sound. But imagine you put oil onto the hinge, you move it can move easily. That means mu s is equal to mu k. That's why there's no sound. That's the beautiful part of it. So the coefficient of static friction is equal to coefficient of kinetic friction for Teflon. That's why they use it for ATM. All right. So advantage of Dobsonian, simple mechanical design, easy to make, no need to make gear, easily available material. Any hardware shop in a small town Malaysia can get, in Penang can get, easily portable. Now the Dobsonian telescope I made in my lab just now. One right hand I can hold the tube, left hand I can hold the mount, and it's very portable, not heavy. All right. It's rugged, it can last you for a year. And some people can even make large diameters. Some ATM people in the world, they concentrate on making ATM, large diameter, up to 1 meter or more than 1 meter in diameter, the prime meter, and low cost. Okay, so as I said, our Dobson telescope costs 100 ringgit because plywood not expensive. The only thing is that they have to get the blanks, all right, the prime meter blanks, which I'll tell you how. So promoted by John Dobson since 1985. I know John Dobson also used it in his famous San Francisco sidewalk astronomers in San Francisco many years ago, and promoted it, Dobson telescope, in that society. Now the Dobsonian revolution is all over the world. Right? So Dobsonians of small, medium, and large apertures, okay, are used by many amateur astronomers around the world, thousands and thousands. And if I am correct, I understand that only in Penang there's a group of amateur astronomers, and I'm also in it, making our own telescope. Like our member Lim Chung Kiat also making. Right? But other parts of Malaysia, I've seen there are individuals in other parts of Malaysia, even the small town, they make their own telescope, but only one telescope. Whereas in Penang, we have made many more. Right? So they made their own telescope. Okay. So now astronomy for everyone with Dobson telescope, astronomy for everyone. Now, of course, even the factory-made telescope are very reasonable price. Anyone also can afford. But it's a lot of fun if you can make some of your own telescope. Remember, you buy some telescope and you make some telescope. So if you make telescope, it's cheaper. So astronomy for everyone. So John Dobson has been promoting this is a big Dobsonian for everyone, astronomy for everyone. So the Dobsonian's effect on amateur astronomy, you have a star party somewhere in America, and here in the place of Dobson telescope, some Dobsonian telescope, right? Milky Way there. Another one also this in the center, a big Dobsonian. So in any star party in the world, usually you have either a factory or homemade Dobsonian telescope. In Penang also we have done that. Okay, so in 2005, we did a big so-called at that time the largest star party in Malaysia, 138 telescope on the field, and some of them were Dobsonian telescope. So that was at that time, 2005, the largest star party, 138 telescope, and many were Dobsonian homemade. So other types of Dobson design are possible. So this is the open thrust tube, closed tube, also Dobsonian closed tube because it's no more, it's a closed circular tube with a mount here. This is I think this, looking at it, the mount is homemade. And this is our closed tube, the main USM, Dobsonian with a squarish design. Just now the closed tube was round. This is a closed tube, all right, round. And looking at it, I think it's a factory made single thrust tube. Instead of one thrust tube, you have one, right? And this is highly dismantleable. So the second meter is on top left, bottom right, which is not there, the prime meter, you can put a prime meter. So this is a single thrust tube. And sometimes you can also get a thrust tube, this is a telescopic thrust tube. This thrust tube is just like the antenna in the front of the car. You can tube telescope, you can push it to a small size or pull it to a long size. So this is our single open thrust tube Dobsonian. Closed tube, square tube, closed tube, circular tube, and this is a homemade. And look, the person who make it in America and make it with a lot of interest and love. Look, very nice handiwork, Okay, closed tube. And this is a hexagonal cross section. All right, closed tube, made of wood, homemade. And this is also many segment is a polygon, a homemade. All right, closed tube. All are Dobson. And this is similar to what I make. So this is our square, what we call closed tube Dobson. Okay. So here you have our bearing here. This is a PVC pipe rubbing on Teflon. And here below there, you have the 3 Teflon pad rubbing on formica. All right. Some of the Malaysia, the table last time they use formica sheet. So Teflon rubbing on the formica for the base. So this is factory made, our neat, all right, open thrust tube. This is our closed tube, circular by me. And this is our Celestron, factory made, closed circular closed tube. This is our Skywatcher. This is the one we some of members of Penang got it. So it's our Skywatcher, circular closed tube. Okay. And now these are all homemade. Now some of the big star party in the world, especially in America, they have bigger Dobson. Why you dress it up that? Because this is to prevent the light from outside going in. So this is called the hood. So at night when you observe the sky, you can remove the hood. But daytime you cover it with the hood when you look at the sun. So these are the medium size, not big, this is medium size Dobson you can find. And this is a large size homemade. It's homemade, right? This is a bit smaller on the left, bigger one on the right. And there are people in the world who make large size Dobson. All right. So this is homemade Dobson. Homemade Dobson. This I think one of the medical doctor in Germany. And this is the same guy. And this is a 36-inch aperture. Not 40 inch. 40 inch will be 1 meter, slightly less than 1 meter. And you look at the front here, such a big Mylar solar filter. Looking maybe at the sun. All right. So they are also big Dobson. There are some of the amateur society in the world, in America and Europe, more than 1 meter diameter primary mirror aperture. Okay. So this is what they have in Kappa Sing Live. Belongs to one member, Mr. Charles. This is our 6-inch aperture, round, closed tube, what we call Skywatcher Dobson, all right, in Kappa Sing Live. And there you are, you see Charles here showing the members of public star gazing. So usually in any star gazing session or star party, if you have quite a lot of telescope, at least some of them should be Dobson, either like this one, factory made, or homemade, like we have done in Penang, homemade. So let's look, before we go into the full details of how to make our Dobson telescope earlier, let's look at an ATM workshop they've done in Penang, right? In 2016, in Penang Science Cluster. We have done a lot of this workshop in schools, in public areas, right? And also in college matriculasi, Pulau Pinang, okay? So we did it in Penang, under Penang Science Cluster for 40 students, and they are school students, secondary school students, and also members of the USM Astronomical Club in Penang Science Cluster in 2016. 2-day workshop. So that's Penang Science Cluster, the entrance. So this is about 40 students, and this at the end of the event, they already assembled some of the open thrust tube and the closed tube Dobsonian, and also every one of them have grind and made their own, experience how to make their own mirrors. Okay, so each student received 2 glass blank, 6-inch diameter, half-inch thick. And one of them is called the mirror blank, and one is the 2 blank. Why is it called a blank? Because a blank means the glass that has not have a shape yet, no more parabola. So it's just a blank. So you are going to change it into a parabola. Then become the mirror. And before you work on the tool, it's a blank. But after you make the tool, it's called the tool. So the mirror blank surface is going to be concave parabola. The tool surface will be convex parabola. Okay, so this is it. So the one in the workshop, we have our 6-inch diameter aperture, half-inch thick, right? So each of these glass, you can go to a plane maker shop in Jeluton, Penang. I'm sure anywhere in Malaysia you can have a plane maker shop. They can cut and make a circular piece of glass for you, right? So it's made of plate glass. So plate glass is what? The cheapest type of glass. The glass in the window of your house. Some of the public areas, the glass window, a bit greenish in color. So why? It's cheap, all right? But of course, the disadvantage is that plate glass is so-called relatively soft, So when the temperature increase, the dimension of the glass can change. But for us in Malaysia, the temperature don't change much, so it's all right? So the normal one amateur use is plate glass, but some amateurs use better glass. Like I have also Pyrex glass. So some of the better quality telescope you find in the factory, the glass is made of Pyrex. or some of them are even better quality glass, but those are quite expensive glass. I have some of them. I'm going to make them bigger aperture. But this is plate glass, right? Cheap, and it will function to make a telescope. So wow, so many blanks. So each of these blanks, each piece, costs only 10 ringgit. So your 2 blanks will cost 20 ringgit. But we got some support from the Penang state government. So all these blanks were provided free to the student. So now it's called amateur telescope making fever, Demam ATM, all right? So people are very excited. So everyone waiting to collect their blank. So these are students waiting to collect the blanks here. So I selected the blank to give to them. So each telescope grinding table will have 2 blanks. And the one on top we call the mirror blank. The one below is the 2 blank. Okay. So now these are the USM club students. Hong Zuan is there. So each of them collected the 2 blanks and we are ready to start the ATM workshop. All right. And everyone, these are from one of the schools in Penang. All right. Everyone got their 2 blanks. They're Chongqing High School. So they're happy to get a blank. Why? Because many of these schools in Penang, they have joined our USM Astronomical Club actually for many years. So you know, and this is our USM club member, and then this is our, I think one of the club at school, Jacqueline. Okay, and this is also members of the public also can join us. Okay, and this is also the USM physics student. Okay, and this is Young Lit. It is 2 blank. Junjie with his 2 blank are already. This another member. He just joined us at that time recently. He doesn't know how to hold a blank. He hold it like that. Okay, by the way, you should hold 2 blank. The other blank is on the left. Okay. So this is our page from KL. He joined us. He came all the way from KL to attend the 2-day ATM workshop. So very happy to join. So in that workshop, we show them all the process to make the primary mirror, right? To assemble the telescope. So now our member Lai Hong Jun gave some theory of the ATM. So the Dobson designed the theory and also the optics. All right, Lai also gave. Okay, so everyone is basically listening to him theory. So he explained to them. And on the left is our Muhammad Daim. He was also there with us. So now, basically, this is prepared by Lai and Daim. So all the theory of ATM and the optics. So basically, I will not explain in detail. You just look at them. Okay. All the different types of telescope. Okay. Why you have this focal test to test the shape of the primary mirror. And the rule of thumb is for every inch of thickness, the maximum you have is 8 inch of diameter. But ours is half inch thick, 6 inch diameter. So our doctrinal limit is 1:12. This is not so good, right? But so far from my experience, 1:12 still okay. Boleh tahan, can use. But the rule of thumb normally is, especially you use it in the cold country where the temperature in your room and outside in the open winter can be very different. So take it out, your primary mirror will shrink. So that means you must follow this rule of thumb. But in Malaysia, we don't follow. It's 1:12 still okay. Okay. So ATM and telescope optics I explained. And all the optics I explained. Okay. All the optics I explained. And also the grinding, polishing process. I will show you in detail later. Okay. Okay. And the polishing. This is a pitch lead. Okay. And then the W slope is to parabolize the mirror. From a circular surface on a plane mirror, we convert into a parabola. Because from the optics is that you have a concave mirror on a spherical surface, circular surface. It cannot focus a parallel beam of light to a point. Only a parabolic surface. A circle cannot. Only a parabola. So after getting a circle on a prime mirror, you need to parabolize it. And the parabolizing part is only half an hour of work. Right? So you parabolize it and put it into a coating unit. You call it, you have a primary mirror, parabolic mirror. Okay. But this is doing the focal test. I explain later. So to check whether the primary mirror is correct or not, you have to do the focal test to check whether the parabola is good or not. Okay. And then assembly. How you assemble a telescope? Assembly, and everyone listening intently. Lai was giving some theory on the whiteboard. All right, more theory. And now we started the grinding, the rough grinding. Here I will not show too much data. Later I'll show you the full detail. So basically, put the 2 blanks on this grinding table, and then you will grind it. Okay, so this is the rough grinding. I explain later the rough grinding. The USM student are checking on the rough grinding. This is rough grinding. Okay, rough grinding. Testing the Sagitta, rough grinding. And this is the Chongqing boys. This is from I think from the international school, Pawis. No. This is from one of the schools in Penang. Okay, and this is a USM club member, rough grinding. and she's actually pouring water into for the rough grinding. Okay, this is a continued rough grinding. So this is to do the polishing. You have to make the pitch slab. Later I'll show you the full detail. So you have to make what's called the pitch slab for polishing it. So rough grinding, medium grinding, fine grinding, you powder on the tool top and the mirror on top. Glass on glass can grind, but for polishing you cannot. You must put a pitch, make the pitch slab to polish. All right, so I explain in detail how to make the pitch slab. So this is after polishing, you need to clean the pitch slab. All right, and this is Yongli polishing it, and it's after polishing they go for Foucault testing. Okay, the polishing, and then Foucault testing, and there at the end the light source, and I'll explain in the full detail later. The light will pour on the mirror here on the left and focus back, and on my side there's a knife edge, a blade I cut to see the Foucault image. And this now Yongli is here, so the light source is in front of him, and the knife edge is next to him. The light goes in front. Of course, this is all done in a totally dark room. Switch off all the light. And the light from the bulb goes into the prime mirror and focus back here because it's a concave mirror, focus back. And you cut it in knife edge and you look for the subtle change of the light, the Foucault image. Right? Like this. And this is the primary mirror holder. And normally when we test the mirror, the primary mirror is already parabolized but not coated yet. So this is an uncoated mirror. Okay, uncoated mirror, and then this is now we are now assembling. And that workshop we also show them how to assemble the Dobson telescope. Then showing how to assemble, yeah, then assemble. Showing but assemble. This is assembling the secondary mirror. All right, and this is patching up. They have the below there is a primary mirror, the holder on top the second mirror holder, open class tube, aluminum tube, and then you have this below there is the what I call is the mount. Okay, finally get ready. Okay, and we also got some bought Dobsonian telescope ready made, but we assembled the ready made Dobsonian telescope like this. Okay, half-ish, and this after the workshop. So they learn a lot. So basically, they go through all the process of rough grinding, medium grinding, fine grinding. All right, Foucault testing to see whether the shape is a circle or a parabola. And a bit of theory, not enough time, not theory of how to make the secondary mirror, which I explain later. Okay, so now over the past 30 years, there are a lot of ATM lectures in Penang, held in some of the primary schools, all right, public areas, and also in the college, Penang Matriculation College. So there's a lot of interest in ATM in Penang. That's why I use the word ATM fever. So now we go into the full details of making our 7-inch aperture f6.8 Dobson telescope. So first of all, get ready the material, make the primary mirror, make the secondary mirror, make the tube and the mount, and first light. So in astronomy, first light meaning the first time you make a telescope in daytime. You have not seen, of course, you have tested during seeing the objects in daylight. For example, the birds on the tree in front of the school or the university. But at night, first time you look at the moon. Look at the Saturn. Don't be greedy, first light. Look at nebula. No. Look at the moon, Jupiter, Saturn. So first light and check whether it's good or not. If it's good, it's good. All right. So basically, the homemade Dobsonian we are going to make. So material needed are the grinding table, rough grinding powder, medium grinding powder, fine grinding powder. You can previously in Penang, there are some of the shops where they supply this grinding powder to the factories that grind the lenses. But nowadays, it seems they use diamond powder. So you cannot find them anymore. So now I'll go to some of the Penang companies that they're actually grinding the lenses for the spectacle and other optical devices. So because I know the boss, you see, so they give us quite a lot of these powders, including the polishing powder also, right? But of course, you can buy online also. Rough grinding powder, medium grinding powder, fine grinding powder, polishing powder. They're all of different grades. Make sure you get a good grade. And simple hand tools, hammer, all right, saw, all right, screwdriver, and so on. Okay, and other things are simple materials. Very simple materials. You need electric kettle and a pail. Why? You need to boil water and put in the primary, secondary mirror. And you can make your own simple Foucault tester. The last one, number 8, only in the university you can get, like in USM, vacuum coating unit. Any physics department should have a vacuum coating unit. So that vacuum coating unit was in my lab, so I could use it. Okay. So look at the grinding table, very important. So that's our grinding table. So basically, you look at the design. They are all made of wood. So you cut it out into it. You can make like this. And it's very important that you are going to grind the tool, the needle on top of the tool, so the table must not shake. So we put here 25 stone or bricks. So with the bricks inside, it's very heavy. So as you grind left and right, forward and backward, it won't shake. Okay. So this work. So Jong is holding the grind table, empty one, very light. Then start putting bricks there, 25 bricks. Good enough. And on top of this circular piece, you can make your grinding table. Okay. So this is the grinding table, our grinding table. Okay. And below the grinding table, put a piece of plastic. Each time you do rough grinding, you might throw away the plastic, and when continue medium grinding, put a new plastic, because you don't want the old rough grinding powder to contaminate the medium grinding. Then you can scratch the medium grinding. And from medium grinding to fine grinding, you change the plastic again. Okay. And from fine grinding to polishing, change the plastic again. Like this. Okay. Much as clean. Okay. So this is our grinding table. So if you look at the grinding table, it's up to your waist level, you know. So this height can be adjusted. We have made some grinding table even shorter for the kids. But at this height, it's just nice for most people at their waist. Convenient. Okay. And this is a lecturer in USM. She want to try her hand in rough grinding. Okay. These are the Chongming boy, rough grinding. See, very convenient. I explain to you the way to do the grinding later on. Okay. The Chongming boys are there. You can see different types of needles were made. Rough grinding on the right, on the left, medium grinding. Here, fine grinding. And here is the pitch lab for polishing. And this is another staff in USM, another lecturer. She came to the lab when we were doing our rough grinding, and what they call, she also on the track. So, and this grinding table is different. You see, this is a simpler design. This is sometimes in many of the classroom, you have a circular stool, you know, and the circular stool is broken. So the round part is still working. So you put a metallic pipe there, you screw onto the circular part of this table, and below there you put into a tub of cement, very dry, and you put a toolbox there. So now this grinding table, you move left and right, forward and backward, it will not shake. So this is another grinding table, easier one. Okay. So this is another grinding table, the old one. Okay. Even the small boy can try. So during one of our big convention events in USM, everyone passing by wanted to try. All right. Look at it. The kids love it, grinding. And this experience of doing ATM. Okay. You teach them how to do ATM. This boy is learning. So amateur telescope making ATM. She also likes to do ATM. Even this lady also likes to do ATM. Okay, our William from KLK also likes to do ATM. Our staff in USM will do ATM. This boy and our ustaz here took a picture with the boy, and one of the pegawai from some of the other state in Malaysia came to Penang, also did ATM. Okay, so now this is another grinding table, the one I explained to earlier, just not earlier. Okay, easy to make also. Okay, here. So this round, you have this thing to hold on to it, metallic pipe, and below there into cement, hardened, and it will not move. Very easy. And go what? Portable. You can carry this what they call grinding table anywhere. Put in the boot of the car, lying horizontally, and carry it anywhere. Okay, grinding, another grinding table. This is polishing. And the third one is this. Now, there are many people in the world do big events, ATM event, and they use the anti-slip mat. Okay, why? So this is my my tool on this anti-slip mat. All right, and with two pieces, you can do the grinding. Okay, so anti-slip mat you can buy in any shopping complex or even the big shopping mall. It's a type of polymer you put on the floor of your bathroom that you will not slip even if it's wet. So they have different color. So this from this, I think this from even in Shopee you can buy. So it's anti-slip mat. So for example, in 2009, the largest ATM event in the world in Turkey, where they made 100 Dobsonians. There you are, next to the seaside in Turkey. And you see here a table here, and at two corners of the table, you have an anti-slip mat, and you see them grinding like this. All right? And they made 100 of, they grind, rough grind, medium grind, fine grind, polishing 100 Dobsonian needles, polishing. And in that seaside resort, there's a vacuum coating company. They can coat the needle. So they make the primary mirror and second mirror there in 1 week. And then I've got the Dobsonian tube and mount already ready-made. But the primary mirror, second mirror was made by them. It was the largest ATM event in the world, 2009 in Turkey, right? Using the anti-slip mat. So here also we have, it works, right? So we have anti-slip mat on the corner of the table, and I put the tool on top, and I put it on top of it, rough grinding powder, and I start grinding, grind. See, I move around the table. So after you move around 90 degrees, no, 270 degrees, you have to rotate the slip mat, and then you start again to do the grinding. So at the corner of the table you can use. So sometimes on the big table, you have 4 corners, 4 grinding table on the last table. All right, like this. So this another one is, this is just now was yellow color, this is green color, anti-slip mat. Show them the grinding can be done. Okay, this is in our Penang International Science Fair. So on the left is fine grinding, on the right is polishing. Okay, like this, and you have anti-slip mat with the mirror and the tool. All right, and this is in our Penang International Science Fair. You have 2 tables. Each table got 2 ATMs. So altogether 4 ATM tables here. Okay, so rough grinding, medium grinding, fine grinding, polishing. Okay, and here you also have here on the left rough grinding table in the what? Inside a plastic bottle, a Tawyu bottle, and here also medium grinding powder in a small bottle. Okay, so fine grinding, polishing, and we showed the kids during the International Science Fair how to do the grinding, rough grinding, medium grinding, fine grinding, polishing. Everyone enjoy. Okay, this is the staff from Penang Science classes showing them how to do the grinding. This is our Kenny, our member, showing them how to. But Kenny also made his own Dobsonian with me many years ago in USN. Now, some I have not used it, but some amateurs in the world, very, very smart. Remember, you can buy the big tong, the big barrel which you hold the tar, a big tong. So inside is all empty, you clean up. So you put inside this big barrel water, full of water, and on top of this barrel, you put the round disc, your grinding table. So inside this barrel, you can put a lot of water, very heavy, it won't shake, So on top of it, a circular disc, and this is your grinding table. Smart idea, cheap and smart idea. Okay, so ATM procedure we talk around are rough grinding, medium grinding, fine grinding, bake polishing, pitch slab, polishing. 6A, parabolizing primary mirror. 6B, polishing secondary mirror, which is flat. And 7A, focal image testing of the primary mirror, which you have made. And 7B, flat testing of second mirror, which you have made. And 8 is vacuum coating of primary and second mirror. And 9A, making the tube out of plywood. And 9B, making the mount out of plywood. And you can go to many of the hardware shops in any town in Malaysia. You can find plywood of different thicknesses, okay, and sizes. And the last part is then assembling the Dobsonian and the first slide. So first of all, you select the blank. The blanks come, maybe some of the blanks like this blank got the chip here, I won't use. So some of the blanks must look good, don't have any chip. We follow it. So 2 blanks for each Dobsonian. So the one on top will eventually be called the mirror, and the one below is called the tool. So for this mirror tool on top, it's not a top. Remember, here there are 4 surfaces, 2 pieces of glass. The top piece of glass, on top of it is called a flat surface. The below this piece is the mirror surface. And the second glass below is, the top of it is called the tool surface. And the bottom of the tool is flat. So now the top surface is the mirror surface we don't use because it's flat. The second surface is the one we convert into a parabola. And just below it is the top of the tool surface we want to convert into a convex surface. So the mirror surface below that is concave. The top surface of the tool is convex. That's what we are going to do. Okay. So now, first of all, you put the plastic sheet on this round table, and then you have the 3 wooden studs to put your what they call primary mirror there. The tool there. The tool blank placed on the grinding table looks like that. So it's very firm. It will not move when you grind on it. This tool blank will not move. And on top of it, you put water, grinding powder, and on top of that, you put the mirror blank on it to start the grinding. Okay, so rough grinding is about 1 to 2 hours. So use rough grinding powder. This is rough grinding powder. Of course, you also have medium grinding powder, and next to it is the water bottle. So simple. And here you have on the right rough grinding powder, medium grinding powder, fine grinding powder. So in Penang, when I go to those shop that make those spectacle, the boss will give me all this powder. I don't care about the actual number, because for us, as long as rough powder, rough size, medium size, is good. But if you want to buy the ATM powder, it's stated, they give you a number. The bigger the number, okay, the finer the powder. The smaller the number, the rougher is the powder. You can do it, you will order, but make sure you choose the correct number. Right? But for us, we cannot choose. If the boss can give us this rough, medium, fine grinding powder, we take it. It's good enough. Okay. So this is the water. Water also, you need to add water in the grinding. So here, to apply the rough grinding powder on it, just like you put pepper into a polish, and then you apply water and do the rough grinding. I explain the rough grinding later. Okay. So basically, you have to, the mirror will move on the tool. The tool cannot move. Mirror will move. So there's a famous action called the 1/3 center over center stroke for the grinding. I explain it. There's a rough grinding. So now you have rough grinding powder on the tool surface with the water. Okay, looks like that, the rough grinding powder, and you begin the rough grinding. Okay, rough grinding, and the sound is like this. So when we started in 1987, I never, of course, there was a book I followed, the amateur telescope making book, what I followed, by Richard Berry. He explained the sound, but I've never heard of it. So when I tried the sound, first time, it's just like ice kacang, sha 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 sha, like the ice kacang sound. So with that one, we could understand. So after so many years, it's very natural to us. So this is rough grinding. So removing from time to time, we check the surface, look like that. We have rough grinding. The mirror has been removed. This is the tool surface. This is a normal stroke. This is the most important stroke called the normal stroke. So 1/3 center over center stroke. So what does it mean? Like this. So imagine the tool, the blue color thing is stuck to the table below. On top is the open circle, black circle, is the mirror. Okay? So imagine the center of the mirror will move over the center of the tool 1/3 the diameter of the blank. Remember, the diameter of the blank is 6 inch. So basically, the mirror center move over the tool center 2 inches. So go forward, backward. And of course, the sound, sha, sha. And continue, sha, 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 sha. And later on, you have to move around the table. Right? So now I'll show you a video of the famous center over center stroke. Okay, there's no sound. There you are. So he moved 1/3 center over center, and then he rotate the mirror, and he also move around the table a bit. Okay. That's it. It's so simple. All right. And many people have done it. You can do it. All right. So the boys and the girls in primary school, secondary school, the university student have made. So this is the center over center stroke. Wait, something hanging here. Michael, can see the PowerPoint?
Can.
Okay. So that's the way you left off. So this is rough grinding. All right, 1/3 center over center stroke. Okay. So actually, we use this stroke 99% of the time. So basically, which are the strokes in the mirror making? Rough grinding, medium grinding, fine grinding, polishing. This four. But 99% of the time, we are using this stroke, 1/3 center. Very easy. I showed earlier. All right. And this is, for example, I show. So for example, you forward, backward, and at the same time, I will move around the table. All right. This is it. Okay. So now basically, look in the center A. Below is the mirror as the tool. The top surface of the mirror is flat, and on top is the mirror. The bottom surface of the mirror is flat. So it go grind up and down. This is called the overhang. So normally after the overhang, forward, backward, in no time, the bottom surface of the mirror will become concave, like here on D, and the top surface of the mirror will become convex. So this is the whole idea. You grind, all right? So, and you see here on the left here is only a parabola will focus a parallel beam of light to a point for the telescope. If you make a circle, you cannot focus into a point, only a parabola. So the whole idea of ATM is turn the circle, turn the bottom surface of the mirror to a circle first. And after that, you parabolize it into a parabola. That's the idea. Okay. So this, but that is, if you do the normal 1/3 center slope, it's a bit slow. So you do a fast way called the quarter stroke. This is a short time only. So the quarter stroke means you go to the edge, the edge of the, for example, the round, the open circle, the black one is the tool on top, a mirror on top. The blue one is the tool below. So you glide at the edge of the tool, 1/3 center stroke, and at the same time you move around. And in this way, you can get to the correct curvature fast. All right, it's called the sagitta. Now I will show you the video of the quarter stroke. Now here you can hear the sound, how the rough grinding powder looks here like. So you hear the sound, that's ice catching sound. So basically, he go the quarter stroke at the edge of the circle. You can grind faster this way, all right? At the same time, he rotate the mirror blank and he rotate the wooden table. But because this table can be rotated, but ours better is our grinding table can be moved. So what we do is we move our body, will go around. So for example, I will rotate this mirror blank clockwise, but I will move around the table anti-clockwise. So this is a quarter stroke, all right? We continue. So now to do after doing the rough grinding, we get the correct, what they call curvature already. We do medium grinding, we do fine grinding, all right? And after getting the fine grinding, we have to polish it. So we polish it and to make into a polished circular surface, all right? But then you want to convert to a parabola. So the earlier one was all center. So the famous one is called a W stroke. So imagine you have the open circle here is a mirror. The green circle here is the tool. So you have the center of the mirror go like a W stroke, forward and backward like that. In this way, you convert the circle of the mirror into a parabola. And if you are very expert in it, the W stroke will take half an hour only. Okay, so it's called a parabolizing stroke. So these are the strokes we use: center over center, 1/3 center, and a parabolizing stroke. Okay, so we convert from a circle to a parabola. Earlier was from a what they call a flat surface to a circle. Now it's W stroke from a circle to a parabola. So that was sagitta, but this is an exaggerated version. So imagine this is a concave surface. We have to find how deep is the sagitta. So the bigger the sagitta, the shorter the focal length. So we can check the focal length by measuring the sagitta on the edge. So for example, here you have the glass blank, the upper surface already a concave surface. So actually you can test by a kind of a micrometer. You can do it, all right? So the bigger this gap, the shorter the focal length, right? The smaller the gap, the longer the focal length. So by testing the sagitta, you know the focal length. Or you can get a spirometer. Any of the hardware shop can buy the spirometer to find the curvature or the sagitta of the mirror. So this another way, you put a steel rod onto the surface, you can look at it, you can see, and you can even measure it. You see there's a gap here, concave surface. You put a piece of paper, some paper, and before you put in, you measure the diameter. So for example, a 7-inch diameter mirror will have a sagitta of 1.51 millimeter to give a focal length of 4 feet. So the sagitta is 1.51 mm for 7-inch aperture to get a focal length of 4 feet. Okay, so that measure with this. And after grinding, all the grinding process, you use an eyepiece, inverted it, and you can see the piece. So when you look at it, you can see under navigation all the piece coming out. So is it well polished or well ground? You can do it this way, okay, with the eyepiece, okay, or even with a microscope, optical microscope, you can study the piece, the thing. And finally, when it's all done, the mirror should not have a single peak left. No, not a single scratch left. Using a microscope. And the lecture also was studying the mirrors that which you were grinding. Okay. So the test for focal length is 40. Remember when there are 40 focal length. 40 is like this. In Malaysia, the plywood size is 4 feet by 8 feet. All right. So the length of the tube is 4 feet. That's why it's 4 feet. Because plywood in Malaysia is so 4 feet by 8 feet. All right. And with a sheet of plywood, 4 feet by 8 feet, you can make 2 Dobson in. Okay. So to test like this, you first of all put the liquid detergent glue, all right, put water and spread it, and then you have this long piece of wood where the inches are all marked here. The sun is light falls onto the liquid surface, which is parabola, focus here, and you can measure the length. This is very accurate, the focal length. Okay. So for example, this boy in Chongqing, I focus sunlight, and it looks like this. So the whole idea is we will have to slide the mirror up and down until the focus light is the smallest. That is the focal length, and it should be 4 feet. All right, and marked on the wood are all the 1 feet, 2 feet, 3 feet, and so on. Okay, so now we go. Now that was rough grinding, you know. Now we go medium grinding, the same thing. 1/3 centros and center stroke. Of course, you change the plastic sheet. All right, we clean up all the mirror and the tool. And then we put the tool on top, and we put the medium grinding powder, and 1/3 center stroke is about 4 hours. Okay, doesn't mean in 1 day. So 1 hour per day for 4 days. Okay, so it's again 1/3 center stroke, and again after that we check the piece with the eyepiece. The piece are now medium grinding piece there. Rough grinding piece no more. So we clean everything up, then we change into fine grinding. All right, and we put the tool on top of the table. And we put the fine grinding powder on it, and then we put the mirror on it and do fine grinding about 12 hours. Because the smaller the piece, the longer the time to remove it. Because the fine grinding powder is very small, so it takes longer time to remove the fine grinding, the medium grinding piece. So about 12 hours. So 2 hours per day is about 6 hours. So again, 1/3 center stroke. And then finally, make the polishing lab. This is the most exciting part. Right? So to polish it, you cannot use polishing powder, glass on glass. You need to have polishing powder, glass on the pitch. And to make the polishing pitch like about 1 hour. So basically like that, you put the 2 mirrors, the blanks which are finished fine grinding already into a pail, and put what? Boiling water. Wow. So this one the work fast, you know. So whenever I look at it, I would put my bare hands, so the 2 tool and mirror blanks will underwater, completely under boiling water. I put my hands, sometimes I wear a rubber glove, put into the what they call 2 blend, take it out, wow, very hot, they'll be shouting very hot, and quickly put it on the grinding table. So like this, I have to work fast, okay? And then at the same time, when we are boiling the water, we will break the pitch into small pieces. This is given by our member Lim Chung Chia for America. The pitch, you see, to know the pitch or not, it gives a certain aroma, whether it smells good. So the aroma smells nice. So that thing, okay? So you only have to break the pitch into small pieces, put into the beaker here, and in the beaker, we're going to melt it and boil it. Okay? So this is the type of pitch we use. And this is in the beaker here, all right? And the hot plate. And we're going to put very hot. This hot plate is going to be red hot, you know, until all the pitch is melted and stirred. All right, like this, melting a bit. Bottom melting, the rest not melted, and sometimes most melted, and finally all melted, and stir. So now this pitch is close to boiling, and we're going to pour it onto the tool, all right, to make the pitch. That. So this is all melted. All right, get ready. Okay, so I'll take the primer out from the table, very hot, and put it onto the table. So this is the tool surface, which is on top of the tool surface, is a convex surface. And then, very important, you put turpentine. Well, you apply turpentine onto the tool surface so that when you pour the pitch, it will stick. The pitch will stick to the tool surface. Otherwise, you don't put the turpentine, it won't stick, you know, and then you waste your effort. So the tool blank is still very hot, so rub around it full of turpentine. Okay, and after that, take the beaker of the pitch and pour in such a way all covered. The whole surface is covered with pitch. Still very hot, liquid. All right, and then all covered up, very hot, and take a screwdriver and touch it after maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes touch. And you cannot put in cut the facet too early after it's too soft. Cannot take it too late, too hard. You must just correct the time. Okay. So now just ready. Then we're going to cut the channels. Okay. So to do that, let's call a cutter here. Okay. With the gap here and put in here glow, liquid detergent, so that when you put press onto the pitch, you pull it out. The pitch will not be pulled out by the lid, because this one is need of glow. Okay. So you press it in here, and in the center is a gap, and the next person will have a screwdriver to remove the pitch to make the channel. So this Yongwei is holding the cutter. I'm using the screwdriver to remove the pitch. I call it chanko lah, out the drain. Okay. So now the first drain has been made. Pour more of the liquid detergent. The first drain has been made. Now I want to make the second and third one. 3 drains have been made in a parallel direction. All done, no, not yet. One more here. And then in the perpendicular direction also must make. Don't work very fast, no. Because we don't want the pitch to cool too fast. So must be work very fast, and some still very hot. Okay. Finally, nearly all the channel made. But now we look at all the pitch or the facets. Each of the facets are not in the shape of the concave surface of the mirror. So we have to work on it. All right. We pour what you call liquid detergent water and press the mirror surface on it. Okay. So I take it out very hot. The mirror is there. Take out very hot. Take out and put the glow solution in water and work on it for about maybe 1 or 2 minutes. And you find that after some time, hey, all the facets have the same shape as the mirror. So at the end of it, when all the facets are in contact, then the pitch lab is made. All right. So and then we just work on it, center over center slope for 1 minute. And after 1 minute is done, then now every part of the facets is touching it. After about 30 minutes of slow center over center slope. So now it's all facets with same shape as a mirror, but the slight problem is, you see, still a bit soft, the facet is closing. So you need to have a blade or a knife to trim the facets, to trim the pitch lab, all right? So trim it, then you cut it up so that the facets look nice, neat and nice. So after trimming, ready, all right? So now next day, we put in polishing powder and the water and do the 1/3 center stroke, polishing it. So this will take a long time. And of course, after we polish, we must move around the table and rotate the mirror blank also. So 1/3 center stroke. So polishing mirror, how long? 20 hours. What to do? Although the fine pieces are the smaller, because the polishing is a bit of glass removed each time, so it takes a long time. So if we say 3 hours per day, it's about 1 week, 20 hours, all right? So end of polishing the prime mirror is good, okay? So end of polishing prime mirror after 30 hours, okay? This on the left is a prime mirror, on the right is a pitch lab, okay? So there are many types of pitch you can use. So another one, I don't know whether it's CK. Chun Kiat gave to us also, chocolate color, all right? So like this, again, cook it, pour it, like this, and cut the drains out. Cut it out, parallel, and that's the pitch lab, all right? And work on it with the hot mirror, and it's all covered up. Okay, so it's done. So now you can, so the pitch lab. But in Malaysia, we call it dama. It's actually a resin from a tree. All right. I understand one of the best resin for doing telescope making is a resin from a tree in Switzerland. Many countries got, but in Malaysia they call it dama. All right. Or I've used even got pa. Pa also can be used, but pa is not so good. It hardens too quickly. Okay. So trimming the facets, and then after working on the lab is done. So now the pitch lab is ready for polishing. Okay. Another type of dama, or even using pa. Okay, can also possible. Pa. Okay, this after working on it, the pitch lab with the tar ready for polishing. Okay, so polishing the primary mirror, as I say, is about 20 hours. So polishing primary mirror, polishing, and after that you have to do the focal test to check whether it's a circle. And it's after the circle, I'll show you the focal test later. You have to parabolize primary mirror, and parabolize primary mirror is a famous W stroke. Let's go and look at the video for the W stroke. I have to go faster. We've got a lot of information to share.
We start right here, weight in the middle with the thumbs only. We're just going to push the mirror around the edge, okay? You start at the center, real long stroke, center the edge of the polisher. You go longer again, real long. You slowly rotate it in the area to do all this. Short again. The stroke is just about 0 at the end.
Okay, so now this is the W slope. Okay, where we parabolize the mirror from a circle to a parabola. But this is all touch and go, trial and error. So you may get the first time parabola, you put into the focal test, not a parabola or not a good enough parabola. You go and re-parabolize again and check again focal test. So try and error. But parabolize, test focal image. Re-parabolize, test focal image, and so on. Okay, so parabolizing slope. So now we have made the primary mirror already, but we have not seen the focal test yet. Now we go to the polishing a secondary mirror into a flat. So it's also possible to make the secondary into a flat like this. So you get a pieces of glass, say about I would say 1/4 inch thick, a rectangular piece of glass, all right? And then you can grind this what they call fine grinding this secondary flat mirror onto another similar flat mirror with fine grinding powder. No rough grinding, just fine grinding powder. You grind on top each other, so we have fine grinding piece. And after that, you make the pitch slab to polish the secondary flat mirror. It can be done. It's very, very fast. So you do that after polishing, maybe about 2 days, you have polished a flat secondary mirror. Right? So you have made a second mirror. You need to vacuum coat it. Okay. So you have a 6B of fine grinding, all right, for the second mirror, and polishing it about 4 hours, 2 days. And now you need the focal image testing of the shape of the prime mirror, the parabola. See whether it's good or not. You have done your W slope. So basically, so you have on the left of the focal image tester, the batteries. To the right a bit, the light bulb. And then here, in center is the blade, the knife edge. And the right is your prime mirror. And this is the uncoated mirror, prime mirror not coated yet. So you do the focal test. So basically like this. The light source in the center, the light falls onto the mirror on the left, uncoated, and done in the dark room, and focus here. And here you have a knife edge, so you cut the point where it the light cross each other, and your eye be very close to the blade, and it's a very subtle test. So yeah, you will get used to it. After some time, you can see the focal image. Testing of prime mirror to look like this. Okay, so this look like this. On one is a focal image, and a focal image. It's very subtle. Okay, and if it is a parabola, the focal test will show these 6 images. I'll not give in detail because just to explain it, you take another presentation. Okay, so you see these 6 images, focal test. The primary mirror is a parabola, a good parabola. Okay, not easy to say. You have to keep on trying and error. Okay, focal image testing, or like this. But this is a focal image of it, and this is a primary mirror holder. Primary mirror holder. Okay, so we do it, for example, in Penang Science Cluster here. So the light bulb here, the light will fall, go to the left, fall the primary mirror, reflect back where I'm in the end there, and then the blade cut. And this, from the light bulb to the mirror is twice the focal length. Remember, focal length of this telescope is 4 feet. So the focal testing is 8 feet. Okay, like this. So here, young lady here, the light from the left falls on primary mirror 8 feet away, focus back, cross back here to the knife edge, and he will move the knife edge and done in a dark room, and you can see the focal image. All right, like this. So they are doing in the museum also. That is that. This is a primary mirror, and to the left is the light source. Okay, so light source. So young lady is testing it, done in a dark room. Okay, like this. Done is testing it, cutting it, and you see the subtle image of the focal image is a parabola. Not easy to get a parabola, but it can be done. Okay, so you get these 6 images, it's a parabola. After that, wow, the main job is done. So remember, in ATM, it's called the mirror is the thing. Making the primary beam is the most important. Mirror is the thing. Just like in any reflecting telescope, the main cost of the telescope is in the primary mirror. Second mirror don't cost much, and so on. So primary mirror costs the most. So the mirror is the thing. The primary mirror is the thing. All right. So after doing the testing, the primary mirror is a parabola focal test. We go testing the flatness of the second mirror. Very simple. So basically, you need to have optical plate on top, and below that is a surface to be tested. And you need to use monochromatic light. All right. Let's say you have a hydrogen light source, mercury light source, do it in a dark room, or even your fluorescent tube. It's not what we call of all wavelength. It gives off certain wavelength stronger. So even in your fluorescent tube, you can see. So you must see those fringes. So if the fringes are straight, your plate is a flat surface. If your fringes are curved like that, your optical plate is not a real plate. So you must make sure that it's all straight line. And also the fringes are very broad. So after you get this result, then you find that the second mirror is a flat. Right? So these are some of the image of the second mirror flatness test. Okay. With I see the fringes a bit bangkok here, not so good. It must be straight. Right? Must be straight to be good. Okay. So now we have done it. So you have put in the vacuum coating unit here to coat it. So I would say you made a primary mirror, second mirror. To coat the primary mirror, second mirror, both of them, maybe about 2 hours you can coat. You put into the system, all right, with the primary mirror hanging on top, the surface facing down, and at the bottom you have the tungsten wire, and then you pump out with the rotary pump, diffusion pump, a very low vacuum, 10 to the power of -6 torr vacuum, and then when you get the vacuum, you increase the DC current into the tungsten wire, will melt the aluminum wire and vaporize it in a vacuum, and you hit the mirror facing downwards and coat it with the layer of aluminum with the same shape as a parabola. And in the same way, you do it for the second mirror to coat for the flat. So now you have made and coated your prime mirror, second mirror with aluminum. Primary mirror with what they call aluminum with 4 feet focal length. Second mirror with infinity focal length because it's a flat second mirror. So now we make the tube and the mount. So either you can use hand tools or power tools. In USM, your power tool. You buy the plywood from Jerusalem. You follow the instruction. You cut all the wood into correct sizes, and then you assemble the tube and the mount also. Right. So usually, the USM student will not come every day. So I repeat, in USM they come maybe 1 or 2 hours per day. So to make the primary mirror and the second mirror, they take 1 month. To make the tube and the mount from the plywood, another month. So you can make the whole Dobson telescope in 2 months. But I assume that if you are expert, you don't make any mistake all by yourself, you can make the whole Dobson telescope in 2 weeks. 1 week to make the prime mirror, one and the second mirror and coat this mirror, and another week to cut and make the tube and the mount. So you can make the whole telescope yourself, you're expert, in 2 weeks. Okay, so you can make the tube and mount, everything in 2 weeks. Okay, made of plywood. Okay, so finally assemble the Dobsonian. All right, it can be done. So you can make your own telescope in USM those days in 2 months. But if you are an expert, you do it by yourself. You can make your Dobsonian like that in 2 weeks. All right, assemble Dobsonian in 2 weeks. And first light. So first light usually we do for either a bright planet like Jupiter, Saturn, or the moon, the crater. You focus in and out with medium magnification, with high magnification. If it's still sharp, that means the parabola of the prime mirror is good. First light, successful. Then you have your own telescope. You can do for your own stargazing with your own homemade telescope. And when you show people with your homemade telescope, the feeling is different. Oh, very nice. Of course, they like to see the manufactured telescope, but they also like to queue up with your homemade telescope. The effect is very, very nice. Okay. So how long to make this Dobsonian? As I said, about 2 months. All right. The student will come, not all the time, every day, but 1 or 2 hours per day. So 2 months to make the whole telescope. And then this is a manufactured Dobsonian. You go for a star party. People like to use your own homemade Dobsonian. So now we come to the homemade solar telescope. We also made 3 solar telescope. The normal telescope is you have your what they call Mylar's aluminum coated film to filter up the solar light to see the sunspot. Usually like that. But this is our solar telescope. We made 3. Right? So for example, this solar telescope is different, no? It doesn't have a filter. First of all, these 2 mirrors here are flat mirrors. So it's 7-inch aperture, optical flat. You have to fine grind and polish it until it becomes a flat, not a parabola, until a flat. You need a pair. So here 7-inch aperture optical flat, coated with aluminium. Here another 7-inch aperture optical flat, coated with aluminium. But here you have a primary mirror of long focal length, very small sagitta, 40 feet focal length, and coated with aluminium. So with this, you can see make a solar telescope. So here you see on one of the flat here, you have a motor. And because this one we cannot buy expensive, it's a stepper motor. We took it up from one of the inkjet printer. The inkjet printer have a stepper motor, and we take out the stepper motor and put some electronics over here. It can rotate this flat mirror. So like this. So basically, you have this zero start here. This is called a zero start. Okay. So then is our 7-inch aperture primary mirror 40 feet focal length. It's called heliostat. All right, sometimes called a heliostat for the sun. Sometimes called a heliostat. So basically, you have the sunlight falling onto the first mirror here, heliostat, which has a tracking device here, and reflect to another mirror here, second flat mirror, and will reflect to the long focal length primary mirror. And the light will focus into the museum, into the dark room, 40 feet away, and you can see a very sharp image of the sun. So basically like this, you have the sun here. So this first flat mirror is fixed, falls to a second flat mirror, and this one can rotate with the stepper motor and falls onto the primary mirror number 3. And there's no spectrograph here. So on the screen here, we put a screen at the focal point, and you can see, okay, so you put a stepper motor in your heliostat, this will track the sun, all right? So they're testing out outside the museum, and the light, I repeat, the light will eventually fall on the primary mirror and goes into the museum 40 feet away to get the image. So this will be, you're testing out outside the museum. These are the 2 flat, and this is some of the simple electronics, you can do it. And here, of course, this is overexposed. But if you go near to it, it's actually the sharp image of the sun with the sunspot. And it's 7-inch in diameter, and your sunspot group, you can see clearly the sunspot. You can put your hand there and catch the sunspot in your hand. Or you can, instead of the white screen, the sunspot onto your t-shirt. So you have the sunspot on your t-shirt also can. Okay? So they're showing there the sunspot. So it looks like that. And here on the left side, you can see a small sunspot group. You can do it. And this is a real image, you know. And actually, sometimes I show the kids in the museum. Surrounding me are 50 kids, primary school children, and I show them the sunspot. So we have made 3 solar telescopes of this type. All right, so far it can be made. Okay, so we can make Dobson telescope and also this solar telescope. Okay, so this one no time to explain this. Maybe in the next time we talk about ATM by using grinding machine and making other types of telescope. The amateur astronomers have made, but Smith-Cassegrain telescope, refracting telescope, apochromatic, all kinds of telescope they have made amateurs. It's possible. If you've got time, let's discuss. And also got time, we can talk about the ATM scene in Malaysia. Okay. So now we will talk about this. The largest ATM workshop in the world, remember, in Turkey, with 100 Dobsonian. All right. We're very impressed by that. 100 Dobsonian. So like this, on a dish in Turkey. So we also would like to do this in Malaysia. Maybe not in the world, but the largest ATM workshop in Malaysia. All right. This in Turkey. Using the anti-slip neck. All right. And on the table, we have 2 grinding tables. It can be done. So they were done in Turkey. 100 Dobsonian were fully made. No, the primary mirror was fully made there. Okay. So we also want to do the largest ATM workshop in Malaysia, hopefully in Penang. Okay. So I think that's all for today. A lot of information. Okay. So now what we take from this thing is, when you enjoy astronomy, it's good to use the telescope you buy. But the best is you buy some and you also make some. Because you make some, you see the members of the public, hey, this is a homemade telescope and can see the rings of Saturn with the homemade telescope. And the feeling is very different, very nice. Okay. So what is the advice here? Buy some telescope and also make some telescope. Okay. So I think that's all for the presentation today. Michael?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Oh, just nice, 1.5 hours.
Yeah. Then you can end the session.
Can I end the session? Any questions?
Yeah, you can stop the session. You can stop the session.
Okay, I stop the presentation. Any question?
No, I think no.
Okay.
I think one point pointed out by William is the difficulty to get the coating unit.
Yeah. Okay, see, they're still listening like that. So William is lucky because what? It's in Kuala Lumpur, in Klang Valley. Any normal physics department will have a coating unit. Like in USM, they have many coating units.
Yeah, but they are not accessible to the public.
Yeah, that's the thing. So he need to friend one of the lecturers there. Because last time we did an ATM workshop in Pelancong Negara, no? So William was there also. I was thinking if they do it, apply to Pelancong Negara to use a coating unit in physics department in USM Malaya. So coating, of course, there are companies that do that also, coating. But the company cannot stop their downtime just to coat your mirror. They make another jig to hold the mirror. So cannot, unless you know the boss well. But in the university department, I have. So basically, what
is that the only choice for the general public?
Say again?
Is that the only choice for the general public if they want to make
Actually,
their
like
own
this.
telescope?
Like this. In the old method before vacuum coating units was popularized. The what chemical method is what silvering, chemical precipitation of silver. There was a teacher from Pahang, I forgot his name. I was impressed, you know. There are many of the individual amateur astronomers. I met them when I on a travel around Peninsular Malaysia. They made their own telescope, but they only need one with their school student, right? So he used chemical precipitation. With some amazing, what is it? You have your prime mirror already parabolized, right? You put it in the glass basin, and you put inside an alkali, strong alkali, and you put inside a silver compound. You shake, shake, shake. So the alkali react with the silver compound, and the silver particles will precipitate out and fall like tiny drops of rain and stick to the primary mirror. So after you do that, maybe about 1 hour, hey, you take it all out, you wash it nicely, but don't not too hard because silver has a bad sticking coefficient. You take your hand and rub on it, the silver on the mirror comes out immediately. But you see the silver there. So it's done already. Then you apply for it a protective layer called what? Kind of, the amateur use liquid perspex, or you can spray some of the type of polymer that was sprayed up in a spin on a turntable spin. So you're protected by that polymer protective layer. So you can, not bad, you know. The parabola is good, right? And silver is better than aluminum. The reflectivity of silver is more than 90%. The reflectivity of aluminum, I think, is less than 90%. So I mean, you see the two mirror, one silver, one aluminum. The silver mirror is brighter, object is brighter. So it can be done silver precipitation. But I'm not trying because we are coating unit. So that's why you have made an important point, Michael. You know, who send the mirror for coating was USM. They sent to me in USM. Many people all over Malaysia sent to me. Even Platinum Negara sent one of the Celestron Schmidt category mirror on a secondary mirror to be coated. But I look at the second mirror. Actually, the second mirror, I look under the microscope. A lot of fungus. So the fungus are eaten into the glass, you know. So the surface of the second mirror is all rugged, so it cannot be used. Even in coating, it won't be nice, right? But I quoted many of the amateurs from KL in Malaysia were sent to me in School of Physics. I quote for them. Don't charge them. Now we have a problem. So see, if we make in Penang, maybe I can go back to School of Physics, ask Dr. John Su, with his permission, request that we can coat the mirror. And usually, when we coat the mirror, since I've retired BSM, the student who join me ATM will go to the coating unit and see how it's coated, and they really enjoy it. Some of them have seen how it's coated. Yes. So maybe in future, Michael, when we talk to any teacher who is interested in ATM, we should send them the link of tonight's presentation.
Sure.
So maybe later, a few months later, we have a second session on ATM, more to make. This is why I have no experience, but I've studied a lot to make more advanced telescope. First of all, bigger aperture can make, you have to make a grinding machine. They have even made an apochromatic reflector, which will give you a very good image. Possible. Huh? Okay, huh? So is that all ended already?
Yeah, sure. I think you can address the audience. Yeah.
Okay. So thanks again for your attention. So we hope that the ATM interest or ATM fever will spread to more and more places. So if you want, you invite our Astronomical Society of Penang. They can go to your school anywhere, and if we have been trying to get sponsors to do the largest ATM event in the world. 150 ATM. We hope to do a certain proposal, but it didn't come true. So we want to do the largest ATM event in Malaysia. But anyway, if you're interested, you come to Penang, join us, Astronomical Society of Penang, or finally, normal MCO, normal PKB. You go to your school, you go to organization to show you. Hands-on, you can try amateur telescope making, all right, ATM. So if you are doing ATM regularly, so what is the name I will call you? You will become an ATMer, ATMER. You're ATMer, amateur telescope maker. And don't make one. There are people, amateur telescope maker in the world, he have made up to 100 telescopes of different design, because the advantage of ATM is you can choose your aperture. This is why our aperture was 7 inch. Usually it's even number, 6 inch, 8 inch, 10 inch, 12 inch. But because we cut the what you call the glass from the thick glass from the aquarium, the cutter, the system painting container was 7 inch diameter, right? So that means you can choose your diameter of your mirror, your F number, your focal length, you can choose anyone. So that's the advantage. When you buy a telescope, it's all fixed. Even numbers, aperture, focal length, all fixed one. So this one you can choose. You can custom make, tailor make the dimension, the specification for your telescope. Okay, so we hope that more and more Malaysians will start ATM in Malaysia, and we can really enjoy. So hopefully we can do a big star party in future Malaysia. Beat our old record, 130th telescope. All are homemade telescope, Australian telescope. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, sure. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. See you again next time. Good night.
Okay. Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.